Hello everyone. I'm very very quietly. It's great to be back. And I'm quietly back for until Friday as planned as always, guys. And it's always guys. It's always good to see you guys. I all hope you had a wonderful, blessed weekend and a very very wonderful, blessed weekend. As you can see, guys, today is very quietly windy. The door is quietly still banging, making some noise as usual, making noise from the wind of the door, and the sky is quietly up and it's getting way too hot. So excuse me for saying you have to dress up warm, but I don't know it's whether it's getting too hot or getting a little bit colder, but in way, guys, it's up to you to decide exactly what you wear and how you feel comfortable with what you're wearing. It's all in your choice. Anyway, today's episode, we're here to talk about the Unity family, who are the most powerful family ever existed on the sacred universe and throughout the known universe. They're an origin family of superheroes, and their greatest descendant is Grayson, Ferris, Unity, and Universal Warrior, Universal Girl, and Universal Boy, and Origin Boy. Those are the descendants of the Unity family. The Unity family are an origin family of hybrid family who have existed for millennia and for many centuries. They've been born on planet Origin, which is a home world for the Origin race, which is the one that I previously told you about. If you don't know exactly what I mean about the Origin race, an alien race of superhumans and hybrid hunters who exactly fight against the forces of evil to restoring justice and order and balance to the sacred world, and also restoring sacred peace to the known universe and to the rest of sacred existence. That has been their destiny and their mission ever since they were quietly born. And unfortunately, guys, the Unity family, known as the Origin family, have been wiped out by the Lord of Magic, by the original Lord of Magic in many years ago, within the following centuries, because the Lord of Magic was quietly threatened with the existence of the prophesied child known as Grayson Ferris Unity, who became the new Universal Man and led the new Universal Heroes against the original Lord of Magic, which was defeated in a far future many years ago. Greg Unity is one of the most powerful, greatest origin hybrid hunters who have existed within the Unity family for many centuries. He's been fighting against monsters and the forces of evil for many years, for many centuries ago, helping the Phoenician hunters to restoring balance and fighting for peace and fighting for sacred peace and fighting for the sacred world peace and fighting for the rest of humanity, as well as defending the sacred universe from sinister threats and from sinister criminals who would exactly further their own plans and their own goals. The origins and the Phoenician hunters share a common enemy, and which is by fighting monsters and also the original Lord magic and also powerful dark magic users such as the druids and the witches and the dark witches and the dark faithful and the ice children and the ice clan and all dark monsters who come from the dark dimension, from powerful different dark dimensions. These monsters, guys, come from a very very powerful dark dimension. Greg Unity has been tasked with helping the Phoenician hunters fight against these monsters who come from the dark dimension, who have been originated and have been summoned through other worlds and through other planets in order to create havoc and chaos in disturbing the sacred peace and the sacred balance that the Phoenician hunters in Origin have been fighting for many centuries. Great Unity helped the Phoenician hunters and the other Origins waging war against the monsters who've been coming out of the dark dimension in order to create chaos and threatening the very survival of humanity by any means necessary. By doing so exactly, Greg Unity uses full origin powers and uses his full unity and origin powers in order to fight against the monsters from the other dark dimension in the early century, which by banishing back and by disintegrating them and by decimating them with the help of Crystal Ferris. Together with Crystal Ferris was able to exactly heal Greg Unity's wounds after the battle that he waged on with the other monsters from after the battle he waged on with the other monsters from the dark dimension, telling him that he did a very very good job and a very well done job by vanquishing the monsters that came from the dark dimension and exactly by destroying them from the other dark dimension and sending them straightly back into the dark dimension. And Greg Unity was very very impressed by Crystal's impression of his work and by his good skills as a superhero work. Together, they were quietly the two members of the two family known as the Ferris and Unity, and the two members of the Ferris and Unity family quietly fell in love from the very beginning, and they quietly saw each other from the very beginning and from the very end. During at that time, Greg Unity was quietly tasked with helping the Foundation Hunters and the Origin race in fighting the forces of the Lolo, in fighting the forces of the original Lolo Magic by destroying them and by decimating them by any means necessary, fearing that the Lolo Magic would exactly decimate them and destroy the rest of the planet, which was exactly part of the plan. Which Greg Unity quietly implied that he'll do everything else in his power in order to see exactly what has occurred in order to change the fate of the Sacred War or the sacred or the known universe's war by any means necessary. Which Greg Unity and Crystal Ferris exactly entered the monitor in order to enter the monitor of the sacred room to compile with the fates and were able to exactly speak with the fates. The fates exactly prophesize a powerful child will be born in a womb of Wuna, will be born in a womb of Crystal Ferris, will become a part of the Ferris family and of the Unity family, which they prophesied that that child will become a powerful superhero who can who will be able to defeat the Lord of Magic and put an end to his reign of terror and to his reign of chaos by helping the Foundation Hunters and by restoring peace to the sacred world and to the sacred universe and by helping humanity survive all these sinister attacks and all these evil forces. The child will become known as Grayson Ferris Unity, son of Crystal Ferris and son of Crystal Ferris and son of Greg Unity. In doing so, he will embody two surnames from his mother and from his father's side. In doing so, Grayson Ferris Unity will become the most powerful superhero ever existed within the sacred world and within the sacred universe, able to exactly bring change and prosperity to the sacred world and to the sacred universe and through the world of men, which will exactly do by restoring justice and peace and order, is what exactly the faith said to Greg Unity and to Crystal Ferris. Greg Unity was quietly surprised that he will bore a son that is more powerful than him and that he'll become the next hero who will be able to save the sacred universe and also the known universe from the forces of evil and from the forces of darkness that dare threaten the peace that they're willing to exactly destroy by any means necessary. When Greg quietly heard the prophecy with Crystal Ferris, they realized that their son's life and the rest of their species' life is quietly, gravely endangered, meaning they'll have to do everything else they can in their power to restoring order and peace and prosperity and justice to the sacred world and to the known universe by any means necessary. The Origin race and the rest of the descendants of the Unity family continued their mission in fighting against the monsters and against the forces of the original Lolo Magic. In doing so, they were able to decimate them and destroy them. The war that the Dark Druids and the Dark Witches and the Dark Faithful were able to launch against the Origin clan were quietly enormous, as both sides suffered months of enormous casualties from the war and from the battle sides as Origins and as Origin and members of the Unity family continue to wage war with the monsters of the Dark Dimension and by fighting the most powerful Dark Witches ever existed and by sending their monsters and creatures back straight into the Dark Dimension, the war became a powerful dark war that created a huge secret galactic pandemic ever known and unever seen. In doing so, the fates were quietly up against this, while the dark fates were quietly against it all, in realizing that the extermination of the Origin was quietly inevitable, as in very much inevitable. The Unity family and Greg Unity and Crystal Ferris decided in order to save their descendants by sending them away straight to planet Earth in order to save what remains of their race, in order to protect it. When the news came that the original Lolo Magic was on a mission in order to exterminate the Origin race, Greg Unity and Crystal Ferris did all they can to prevent a sinister threat from rising in power, which is what exactly they did. They prevented the Shadow Force, a group of powerful rogue Foundation Hunters who are willing to do everything it means, who are willing to do everything else it takes to exterminate the supernaturals of the sacred world and as well as the aliens of the sacred world. They prevented the uprising from taking place and they prevented Valakel 5 from exactly rising to power at the graver cost of their species to be exterminated. That wasn't exactly unexpected and unheavily foreseen, guys. Literally unheavily foreseen and literally unheavily expected. During at that time, Greg Unity and Crystal Ferris decided to board their son to the stasis port and decided to go with them straight to planet Earth while their world was quietly facing while their home planet was quietly facing gravely extermination and gravely destruction upon leaving it. During at that time, the original Lolo Magic arrived when Greg Unity and Crystal Ferris exactly literally launched their stasis pods and went away straight to planet Earth in order to save their son, in order to save their prophesied son, who will be the key in order to ending this this sacred galactic dark war before it becomes a huge, devastating, catastrophic event that could alter sacred history and the rest of humankind forever. Exactly. By doing so, they were able to exactly save themselves and their son. The rest of the other members of the Unity family also did the same thing. They exactly took all their sons and all their nieces straight into stasis pods, saved themselves. When the original Lolo Magic arrived on the planet's surface, he saw all the stasis pods launching straightly into outer space, and he decided to use his dark magic with the dark druids and with the dark witches and the dark faithful in order to destroy the planet and exterminate the origin race, which is exactly what he did. He summoned all the power, all the dark magic, and all the power and all the ability with the rest of the dark druids and the dark witches and the dark faithful at his side in order to converge their power. By doing so, they were able to destroy the planet, and the planet became destroyed as the extermination of the origins and of the Unity and the Ferrises and the Vestas and the Eagle clan were wiped out, as in completely wiped out from the known universe. And even throughout this sacred universe, the planet exploded, as in like literally exploded, as in a big shockwave of explosion, exploded completely. As the extermination of the origins has been completely been granted by the original Magic by exterminating them. During at that time, all the origins were hidden in stasis pods, able to flee from the destruction of their home planets. Some even arrived on other worlds and other worldly worlds. Some even arrived on other magical worlds and other magical planets in order to hide themselves and disguise themselves and to blend in with the rest of the population, to shapeshift where they have the ability. They have the ability of shapeshifting, becoming other species in order to hide their true form and their true abilities and their true selves. In order to hide their true form, they were able to exactly shapeshift and blend in with the rest of the local population of the other alien races and other alien civilization. Some are able to enter through magical worlds and other magical planets in order to becoming magical wizards and magical warlocks and magical witches or fairies or fairy witches, able to exactly blend in and becoming successfully one of them. During at the time when Greg Unity and Crystal Ferris were able to exactly successfully hide their child, they were able to successfully arrive on planet Earth in order to protect their son and as well their children, able to hide on planet Earth to protect their son and as well their children from being wiped out and as well exactly from being exterminated by the original Magic. After that time has been quietly taken, some of the other origin races and some of the other alien origin races were quietly hidden and were quietly taken refugee throughout the other worlds and throughout the rest of Sacred Society. The Four Nation Hunters were quietly not successfully pleased with this extinction of the origins, which means that the responsibility of the origins and the burden of the origins felt will be exactly felt into their responsibility, will be taken to their responsibility and taken to them. The Four Nation Hunter Council decided that during at that time that the rest of the universe is quietly well aware that the origins have been exterminated and that the rest of the Unity descendants have been wiped out, which means that in other words that their mission and their job has become successfully harder. That means in other words that their responsibility will fall to them. Battling the monsters will always be the top priority of the Four Nation Hunters in vanquishing and also in destroying the original Lolo Magic and his dark forces of evil, which the Four Nation Hunters continue to do so. In the meantime, the origins were able to survive the destruction of planet Origin. They were able to successfully take refuge on other worlds and other worldly planet in order to protect themselves and to create new disguises of themselves in order to protect themselves and to remain secret and operating in secret in order to hide themselves and protect themselves from being exterminated on sight and to be killed by the original Lolo Magic's forces, which is what the original Lolo Magic's forces exactly did do. They created a wanted poster for every origin in order for them to be hunted and in order for them to be exterminated on sight. The Unity family descendants who are able to survive were Grayson Ferris Unity, Universal Warrior, Universal Girl, Universal Boy, and Origin Boy. which was the future superhero, which was who is exactly the future superhero of the origin race and of the origin clan. By doing so exactly. During so exactly, the descendants became more powerful as they were able to be trained, as they were able to be raised on planet Earth. Some of them were raised on different fronts of planet Earth, but the others were raised on different sectors within planet Earth. While Universal Men and Universal Women continued doing their job and their mission to protecting humanity from all sinister threats and from all super criminals who would exactly do harm to the sacred peace and as well to the sacred world by itself by any means necessary. In doing so, they were able to create a huge high profile targets for themselves in order to create more attention, in order to create more attention for themselves by exactly getting the attention of the original Law Magic in order for them to be taken out, in order for them to be successful to be taken out and to be successful to be removed out of the way. When the Little Magic's original enforcer, known as Black Master Supervillain, ordered him in order to kill Universal Man and Universal Woman, which was able to partake the order into officially exterminating Universal Man and Universal Woman, which was able to successfully do by killing Universal Man and Universal Woman during at that time, which he did so exactly. He succeeded on his mission by killing the most powerful superheroes ever existed on human history and throughout the world, throughout the sacred world itself, exactly by doing so. During at that time, Grayson First Unity was quietly born, able to learn the full truth of everything else that's quietly occurred so far. Ming-Hua was able to train him, able to guide him through hand-to-hand combat, master tactician, leadership, hacking skills, abilities, able to exactly mastering his abilities and as well as his superpowers in order to prepare him for what's exactly coming throughout the Great War, since his parents have secretly passed away, known as Crystal Ferris, who was the original Universal Woman, and Great Unity, who was the original Universal Man. The descendants exactly became more powerful than ever, able to exactly inherit hand-to-hand combat, shape-shifting, swordsmanship, tactician, leadership, and hacking abilities and also endurance and agility, super speed, super strength, heat vision, freeze breath, and also flight and also flight in endurance and also flight and invulnerability, inheriting all those powers and all those abilities, able to conjure magical abilities and magical powers. They became more powerful descendants than ever before, and they became the most powerful superheroes ever existed. Universal Girl, Universal Boy, Universal Man, Universal Warrior, and Origin Boy. They became the most powerful descendants ever existed within the rest of the Origin family. Grayson Ferris Unity is a descendant of the Unity family and as well as a descendant of the Ferris family, which makes him the most powerful superhero ever existed within those two families. Guys, you need to understand this. Grayson is the new Universal Man and is also as well the prophesied child who was quietly foretold throughout the prophecy of the fates, was able to put an end to the original Lolo Magic by creating a huge power vacuum, unlike any other that was exactly created in order that has created chaos and destruction upon its wake by forcing every other Shed Empire warlord and commander into fighting for the Shed Empire throne, which unlikely has forcing some of the other Shed Empire warlords and commanders to forming an unholy an alliance with other super criminals, with other powerful super criminals such as the Founders, the Order of the Five, the Order of the Six, the Order of the Seven, and the Order of the Eight, and the Galactic and the Sacred Circle. In doing so, the future the Sacred Galactic War has become a Sacred Galactic Pandemic War that has turned into a dark war unever seen and unever noticed. In doing so, monsters from the dark dimension have emerged from all sizes, fighting against the 4 Nation Hunters. The 4 Nation Hunters and the 5 Nation Hunters and the 10 Nation Hunters resources are spread way too thin even now, fighting against the monsters from the dark dimension. But with the help of the Intergalactic Coalition and Universal Men and the Universal Heroes, the heroes are doing everything else in their can in their power to restore peace and balance to the sacred world and to the sacred universe by fighting against the forces of evil and against the forces of darkness. Despite this, guys, the new Universal Man is more powerful and more greater than ever. He has great leadership over the new alliance and the Universal Heroes, and he leads them with great authority. Right now, he stepped down from the alliance, handing over the alliance to Hank Starwood, who is a 4 Nation Hunter who leads the alliance with greatness and with true nobility in guiding it through in using the alliance to fight, in using the alliance to become a force for good in order to vanquish the forces of evil and the forces of darkness that they're threatening the sacred peace and the sacred world and the rest of humanity's survival by any and all means necessary. Guys, you need to understand this. The Unity family is the most powerful family ever existed. They are a force for good that fight for justice, peace, balance, sacred peace, love, and hope by vanquishing against the most powerful super criminals ever existed, such as the Golden Knight, Dark Light, Shadow Master, the Goddess of Life, the Dark Witches, the Dark Druids, monsters, the Monster Queen, the most powerful Dark Witches ever existed, such as Darkron and the Dark Sisters and the Night Sisters. Most powerful, formidable Dark Witches ever existed. They've been exacted frequently, been clashing with them over the following years and the following centuries in order to try to restore peace and balance. Now that there's a new Lord of Magic in the future of the war who's exactly manipulating the war to his advantage, it has created more chaos and more destruction ever seen before. But the new Universal Men and the new Universal Heroes and the rest of the Alliance are quietly eager and determined to restore peace and balance and prosperity to the sacred world and to the sacred universe and also to the known universe by any and all means, by protecting humanity from the forces of darkness that they're threatening the peace and that they're threatening the sacred peace and the sacred world and the rest of humankind by any means necessary. Guys, you need to know one thing. The Unity family are very, very skilled in hand-to-hand combat, master tactician, strategist, leadership, shape-shifting, super strength, super speed, super hearing. They are very, very skilled in those abilities, and they're very quietly adapted in very, very skilled in adaptability and also in leadership. They led the origin race through many ordeals. They faced their greatest challenges and their greatest threats ever existed. And throughout the rest of the Phoenician Hunter database, the Unity family has been a family of a beacon of hope, able to stand for justice, peace, and prosperity, and also for sacred peace and for love and protection and hope. Able to fight for those things, meaning that the Phoenician Hunters have been inspired in order to fight for those things, able to stand up for those things in order to restoring peace and balance and prosperity to the sacred world and to the known universe and to the sacred universe itself by any and all means. And so the remaining descendants who are still actively alive are more powerful than ever before, have existed for many years, and they're still existing now. But the other descendants of the Origin family are still nowhere to be found, which have exactly survived the destruction of planet Origin itself and have quietly escaped into the known universe and able to take refuge through many other races or many other supernatural races, such as the Warlocks, Fairy Witches and Druids and powerful magic users and aliens and other supernatural clans or races, able to exactly blend in those races in order to protect themselves and hide themselves from the enemy, from the most powerful enemy who has ever existed throughout the known universe and throughout the rest of sacred existence. But despite this, guys, the sacred heroes and the 4 Nation Hunters and the 5 Nation Hunters will do everything in their power to stop the most powerful enemy who ever existed from creating chaos and destruction upon its wake and preventing their sinister plans and their goals from being released, from being released and from seen through and from coming to fruition and from coming to fruition. And before they can exactly reach through their sinister goals or plans, our heroes are willing to thwart the enemy's operation and as well their plans. But they're willing to exactly align themselves with the 4 Nation Hunters to fighting against their greatest common enemy, the newly Lord of Magic, who is more powerful and more deadly and more destructive and more intelligent and more smarter with his new secret society of supervillains known as the Order of Power that has the original goal and the original dream of wiping out the supernaturals and the aliens of the sacred world and as well of the sacred universe. But despite this, the new Universal Man and the new Universal Heroes and the new Alliance will exactly make sure that those plans never come to fruition and never exactly come to that reach in order for those plans to exactly to be released or to be seen through by any and all means necessary. Well, guys, on last week Friday I was writing more about about my new characters and all of that in order to exactly tell you that I was exactly writing late. But sorry for about that. But I was exactly do the same thing on this week Friday. But you'll continue seeing me on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday until Friday. So guys, I all hope you have a wonderful evening and a blessed afternoon. I all hope you enjoy this episode and a very, very great episode. I all hope you enjoy this episode about the Unity clan, clan of origin superheroes who have existed for many, many centuries ago. And I all hope you guys will have a wonderful day and a very blessed evening. I will see you tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow Tuesday. I will see you tomorrow Tuesday at the exact same time. The exact same time, but more or less more of a different time. But I'll exactly see you tomorrow Tuesday. Have a wonderful afternoon and evening. So stay safe and stay happy. Bye.